Hello, everybody. It's Monday, and as usual, excuse me, started coughing already.
Yeah, it's weird. You didn't cough all day.
I haven't coughed.
I'm getting better.
I woke up in the middle of the night coughing, but I haven't coughed all day. But yeah, so talking about a movie, as we usually do. Now, this one is a little bit of a wild card. We were talking last night, and I guess because we were talking about Stephen King on Friday night on the Sidetrack shit, right? So Tom's like, well, why don't we try to find a Stephen King adaptation that he hasn't seen and that we haven't reviewed yet? So we're kind of like looking around for ones, and it's like, well, a lot of them we've already done, or you had to pay for them, or shit like that. So then I'm on Netflix, and I see one called Mr. Harrigan's Phone. Yeah. Now, this was a novella that Stephen King wrote, and it came out in a book called If It Bleeds, that came out in 2020. So I have not actually read that book, so I haven't read the story that this was based on. And I didn't even know that they made this movie. They made this movie back in 2022, like Netflix did. They made like a few other ones too, because then they make like 1922 and In the Tall Grass and Gerald's Game and some other ones
that I've only seen Gerald's Game. I didn't see that.
The other ones were good too. I don't remember. I thought we reviewed In the Tall Grass. Maybe just I did. And I know I saw all of them. I don't know if I reviewed them. Yeah,
this one was made for Netflix, but it feels like it's made for the big screen. It's a high quality production. It had really good acting in it. It's pretty good. It's not really my thing. It's a little slow at times, but it has a lot of good dialogue, a lot of good ideas in it. It's kind of like on par with a good Twilight Zone episode. And some of the scenes, I think it was lifted out of a Twilight Zone episode, where this woman's husband died in the middle of a storm. She thought about her husband. He'd been dead for a little while, and the phone rings, and it's her husband going, hello, hello, and keep calling her back. Who is this? And it turns out it's her husband.
I remember that episode.
Yeah, she has there's this scene where in this thing, the guy's getting calls from the dead, and it's got the lightning in the background, and he's by the bed, the phone's there. That was a great fucking Twilight Zone episode. And at the end of the episode, she has the caller traced. And they said, well, we traced it to a down line, and the line's down, and it was wrapped around the headstone of her husband.
Yeah.
So he was calling her from beyond the grave. Yeah, it was wild shit. She was cucking him out. She was like abusing him. And when he was alive, I don't remember what he.
Is that what she was calling?
He was calling her, trying to tell her basically to fuck off. I think it's basically what it was.
I kind of remember that episode, but I don't remember like the
but you got basically. She's like, yeah, you're all. I think if I remember correctly, it was like, yeah, you're all alone now. Fuck you. I don't want to come back. Type of deal.
I mean, not that he probably could, but you know what I mean. Well, clearly he did want to talk to her because he kept doing it. Yeah. But yeah, so so I'm gonna say like this movie, like you said, it is a very high quality production. Mm-hmm. The acting in this is great. Donald Sutherland is in it. Yeah. Jaden Martell, who was
old Donald Sutherland.
He's very old.
Very old now. Yeah, he's still good though.
This movie was only 2 years ago. Yeah. This came out. And Jaden Martell, who was also in It Chapter 1, was in this too, like kind of playing the main kid, the main lead. Yeah. And because I hadn't read the story, I didn't really know where it was going to go, which I thought was kind of interesting. But I will note that if you're going to watch it and you haven't read the story, then it's not a horror movie, really. I would kind of call it a coming-of-age drama, but then it has like some supernatural, slightly horror-y elements to it. But it takes a while to get to that. Yeah. And the movie's long. It's like 2 hours and 15 minutes or something.
Yeah. It was a little slow.
It is slow in places.
I could have told. It's a good story, but I could have told this story in 45 minutes, probably. Less. I could have made this a half-hour episode of The Twilight Zone. Would it have been as good? I don't know. Part of a movie, and enjoying a movie is kind of like being on the same ride with these characters and seeing how things unfold for them. There's this young kid, he gets hired by this basically millionaire dude who lives in this mansion to just read him stories.
Yeah, because his eyes are bad.
Yeah, his eyes is bad. And this goes on for years. He's paying him to come read to read these stories. And, by the time he's a teenager, he's changed a lot. So he starts asking the kid questions about the stories and tries to teach him about life And then it has his high school fucking life, you know. He gives the old man a cell phone. It shows him how to use a cell phone and the internet. And which kind of helps him because now he doesn't have to call all his brokers to fucking find out what the stock market is doing. But he comes up with some boomer ass fucking ideas, you know what I mean? Fucking from the cell phone. He thought the cell phone, the internet, thought it was horrible because you're giving away good information for free, and information is worth money.
Communism.
Yeah. and then it says, and then there's information and disinformation, and people can just read any old garbage they want to. And society could go down a bad route. You know, and the social media, he was saying that was going to be bad. Which maybe from his point of view and the world he came from, that'd probably be true. Because those guys made money on fucking hoarding information. They had all the good information. Everybody else either didn't have information or their information wasn't that good. So they couldn't exploit it to make money. And he was about teaching him, like, look, if you have enemies, you do the first thing, you eliminate any enemy you have ruthlessly. He says that's the only way you're going to survive. Which
comes into play.
Comes into play in this story. So he's kind of a ruthless Machiavellian guy. He's not a bad guy. He's just a product of his time, I thought.
But it's implied that he did some pretty fucked up shit, though.
Yeah, but a lot of guys that got pretty much everybody who makes the kind of wealth he had.
Well,
did
yeah,
that
I
shit.
know, but that's kind of what they were.
That's how you get that kind of money.
Yeah, that's what they were implying. Well, it's because he was a billionaire, so he obviously did some shady shit.
Mm-hmm.
They don't go super into it, and I think some of it is just like implication.
Yeah.
But he did do like some bad shit. But
being rich at that level is a bottleneck. To get that amount of money, you're gonna have to fucking destroy enemies, destroy their companies and everything. It's not a good thing. They're trying to fucking feed their families and send their kids to college. They're highly competitive, so they're all like that even to today. Most of them, I would think. I can't think of any of them rich people that aren't ruthless. That are and a lot of them you never know them. They're not. You'd never know their names. They don't want to be famous.
I was gonna say too that because the whole cell phone thing is kind of like. The movie is not set in the present day. It's actually set from 2003 to 2008. It's over like a 5-year period. So that's why cell phones aren't as ubiquitous as they are nowadays, and why there's like an old dude that still doesn't use them and stuff. Although the dude is portrayed as like being really like a Luddite. Like he doesn't even have a TV or anything like that. Like he's super, super backwards and like behind, and he still like reads newspapers and shit. But like I said, that's like a little bit more understandable back in 2003 and from 2008. But so this was directed because I kind of looked up the director because his name was kind of familiar, and the director of this never did any horror movies. However, he did make The Blind Side, which I really did not like. But he also made Saving Mr. Banks, which was the one with, wasn't Tom Hanks in that? And it was like about the author of Mary Poppins or whatever. And he also made The Founder, which had Michael Keaton in it, which was about Ray Kroc, the ostensible founder of McDonald's. It's not really how it happened. He didn't really found McDonald's, but it's a whole story. But yeah, they go into that in the movie. But yeah, so this is the same director that did that. So like I said, it's not... Because... The way they build it up, because I kind of feel like for the first, half of the movie, you're just kind of, it starts out in 2003 when the kid, whose name is Craig, by the way, and it's played by a different actor in 2003, and then it's Jada Martell, when it jumps ahead. His mom dies, and then he gets this job, reading to this guy, 3 days a week or whatever. And because I hadn't read the story, I didn't really know how it was going to go. At first, I was thinking that because there was this whole plot point about these lottery tickets that are Red Devil lottery tickets, I thought, is the billionaire going to end up being Satan? You know what I mean? And he's going to try to make a bargain with him or something like that. But so that's kind of the way that I thought it was going. But that's not the way it goes. Spoiler alert. But I don't know, because I kind of feel like most of the people here probably read Stephen King and they might have read that, so they might know where it's going. So, but I didn't expect it, and I kind of liked that because I was just kind of guessing the whole time. But like I said, the first hour is pretty much establishing their relationship, and then Craig, starting high school, having all kind of problems with this bully. You know, there's like a girl he likes. They don't go too much into that. That's just kind of like a tiny little side plot kind of thing. But he is starting to, you know, befriend this older man, and you know, not in a creepy way.
Yeah, you said older man. Like sounds like a homosexual.
Well, old man.
No, he was an old man.
He was a very old man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and Donald Sutherland, like Tammy said, he died. Now he died last year, I think.
Yeah, he's he's kind of becoming the kid's like benefactor. He's trying to basically he ends up taking him under his wing to sponsor him in his upcoming career and in his life. But he starts doing this shit from beyond the grave. That's pretty fucking wild.
Yeah, because like I said, at first I was kind of thinking it was gonna go like a satanic, like a, you know, like a Faustian type of deal, because they were harping on the lottery ticket so much. But honestly, the lottery tickets only play into it because the guy, Mr. Harrigan, he buys Craig lottery tickets like for every holiday, and his dad, like, because he's kind of the kid and his dad are like kind of, you know, lower middle class, like working class. And so he's like, oh my God, he's got like billions of dollars and he still buys people like dollar lottery tickets like for presents. That's so lame and stuff like that, which it kind of is. But it turns out that the kid, he gets them and like he doesn't win anything. But then one year when he's a teenager, he actually wins $3,000 on one of the cards, and he uses some of the money to buy an iPhone for Mr. Harrigan. Mr. Harrigan doesn't really want it at first, but then he shows him all the cool shit that it can do. But he's still kind of cranky and boomery about it. Like, this is going to be the ruin of civilization. It's not that bad, but you know what I mean? But he still kind of goes that way. So then, about halfway through, and this is spoilers, so, you know what I mean? We're kind of going spoiler direction. Then about halfway through, Mr. Harrigan dies. And, you know, and the kid is, like, really, really upset about it because that was his friend. That was, like, his mentor, you know what I mean? And unbeknownst to anyone, he slips the iPhone into the pocket, like at the funeral. Yeah. And so he's buried with it. And then Craig starts getting ostensible texts from the dead man.
Yeah.
But he can't really tell they don't say anything like super clear, and it's plausible deniability enough, like that people are like, nah, it must be just a glitch or some shit like that, or somebody.
Yeah, sometimes it's just kind of codes of random letters.
Yeah, just like letters and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's kind of freaking him out. But then, like, he misses the guy so much that he starts, like, calling his phone and, like, talking to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though he's like, man, the battery should totally be dead by now, but
yeah,
somehow it's not.
Battery never went dead. It could receive calls somehow.
Yeah, so as that happens, he starts complaining about some things that are happening in his life, and something that Mr. Harrigan had told him about, you have to be ruthless and to your enemies and all this other kind of stuff, kind of comes into play, like when he calls and like complains about shit that's going wrong in his life.
What she's getting at is that this ghost, I guess, will kill people to clear a path for you, so you can get what you want. He's murderous. It's a murderous ghost. It didn't trade any information with him, though, did it?
No.
It just got rid of his enemies. And
I kind of wonder, too. I think they kind of left it, like, a little bit ambiguous, like, how it ended. It may have been
just, yeah.
But right. I thought what they were trying to say, I don't think they were ambiguous about whether the dude was killing people. I mean, I guess it's possible.
Yeah, because the shoe polish and the way the body was.
Yeah, like the way the bodies were found, like, made it pretty clear that it was actually, like, supernatural, like the details of it. But they never show a ghost. It's not cheesy or anything like that. This is a very, very serious, there's no jump scares, there's no horror shit, there's no nothing. It's just, it's very low key, like the supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
What I thought that they left ambiguous was whether Mr. Harrigan from Beyond the Grave, whether he really wanted to do that, or was he kind of trying to tell Craig, oh, hey, I'll do it for you, but this isn't cool, or something like that. You know what I mean? It just kind of seemed like that's kind of the way they were going toward.
I don't think he had a problem with it.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
Because there was a whole thing, like, toward the end where he was just kind of like, he felt really bad that he was doing that. Like, once he realized that this was absolutely happening, because obviously he wouldn't think that that's what it was. Like, you just called and complained about somebody, and they're like, oh, by the way, they're dead. And I was just like, you just think it was a coincidence, but then, like, it happens a couple of times, and he's like, oh, I don't think it's a coincidence.
Yeah, and the way they died wasn't a coincidence.
Yeah, it was, like, super specific.
Super weird the way that they died.
Like, some of the details about it were, like, had something to do with...
They all had Harrigan's fingerprints on how they died. So Harrigan was killing them from beyond the grave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, like I said, Jen's, she's right. It's very kind of grounded in reality. It's not jump scares. It's not really a horror movie. The paranormal stuff is kind of portrayed as being something that could actually happen, or it's just like a normal occurrence in a certain way. Like, yeah, you're gonna find this dude dead. You know, it's not real flashy, which that kind of like squares with a lot of shit that I saw, and I've seen some paranormal stuff, and then stories that I've believed through, you know, I think pretty credible stories that, you know, credible sources who tell you a story that might have been paranormal. There's always a fucking, it's not a real flashy paranormal event all the time. It's usually just something kind of like, there might be plausible deniability, like maybe that was an accident, or maybe the ghost didn't do that. It was that kind of stuff. But I thought it was good the way it was handled, because in a way it makes it creepier.
Yeah, because you're never entirely sure. Like I said, it's not really until the last one that you're like, okay, well, there's probably no way that could have been a coincidence. Like, because that was very, very specific. Yeah. But the first time or two, you're just like, well, maybe not. You know what I mean? Maybe he's just imagining it, or maybe he's making connections that aren't there, or something like that. So it was kind of ambiguous. But then, like, toward the end, he's like, no, I think that dude for real is like killing people.
So it starts affecting him.
Yeah, like he starts feeling really bad.
People are dying because of him, type of deal.
Yeah, like at first he doesn't think that. I mean, he's freaked out by it, obviously, but he just kind of thinks it's a coincidence, I guess. But
the movie's not. It doesn't really have a fucking definite resolution. I guess it does. He gets rid of the phone, but I don't know if that stops it.
Well,
I think you had to call the phone.
You had to tell him.
And to tell him what the problem, what your problem was, and then he'd do it. So I guess if you got rid of the phone, I guess it would stop.
See, that's the thing. Like, the first time, he didn't say, hey, I want this... I want him dead. I want his family dead. Like, he didn't say that. Mm-hmm. Like, he just said, hey, I'm having a problem with this dude, and it's like, I don't think it's ever going to end, and blah, blah, blah. And then the dude ended up dead. But then, like, one time later on, he absolutely did, like, wish somebody dead. I mean, it's understandable for understandable reason. But then, like, after he found out what happened to that guy, it was like he felt like really, really bad about it. But that's, like I said, that's how you knew that, like, Mr. Harrigan was probably doing the shit. But I kind of liked that they, because, like I said, I didn't really know what direction they were going to take it. Like, because for the first hour, it's just, like I said, it's kind of like a coming of age story, and you know, there's the kids in there, and he's reading different books to the guy, and like, you know, Heart of Darkness, and They Shoot Horses, Don't They, and Lady Chatterley's Lover, which I thought was really funny. I was like, that was for real, like the first book you asked him to read, like when he was a little kid. So I thought it was gonna go like that kind of way, but no, it didn't. But yeah, so he reads stuff, and he's like imparting lessons like from the books and stuff, I guess, like asking him about it like once he gets older. So like for the first half of it, and it's a long movie, like I said, it's kind of mostly that, and then like his high school and him growing up and stuff. And then very, very slowly and very, very subtly, little supernatural kind of things, but it's not overt. For most of the time, it could just be a coincidence. Like, you don't exactly know. So I think that's kind of what I liked about it. I kind of like ghost stories that are more restrained. Yeah. That seems scarier to me. Like, you know, and I've probably brought this up before, but I think that's probably the difference between why I liked the movie The Haunting from 1963, the adaptation of Haunting of Hill House, so much better than the shit-ass remake that they made in 1999. Because the one in 1963 didn't show anything. Yeah. And it's way scarier. The one in 1999, they had CGI spider beds and like all kind of stupid shit. Yeah, and it was just stupid.
Another good one that was kind of grounded in reality was one with George C. Scott.
What was the Changeling.
The Changeling, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like ghost stories are better when they're subtler.
Yeah.
For some reason, that's way creepier to me. When you go like way over the top and there's like ghosts floating around the house and stuff like that, it just gets silly and ridiculous. Like, they can be fun if it's just like a comedy or something, but if you want to actually make it scary, I think it's like scarier when you don't see stuff, when everything's just like suggested, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me. So I kind of liked it. I didn't.
Well, it feels more high end when it's like that.
Yeah.
And this is kind of this movie does have I will give it the fact that it does have a very high end feel. It's well made. The acting in it's really good, and the direction and the writing, it's very good. It comes off as a classy movie.
Yeah.
Well thought out. They were taking it seriously.
Yeah, which I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I thought it was slightly long.
A little bit slow.
Like, it did drag a bit in places.
Yeah.
Probably could have been trimmed by 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But honestly, it didn't really bother me too much. I wasn't bored or nothing like that. But I'm just saying, like, don't go into it expecting, like, a horror movie or, like, a spooky ghost show or anything like that. Because it's really, really subtle. But like I said, I kind of liked that about it. It reminded me of something, and I can't put my finger on what it was, and it's kind of bugging me.
Yeah, Phantom, if you like the Changeling, you'd like this one.
Yeah, I kind of feel like this is sort of along the same lines.
Yeah.
Honestly, I always thought The Changeling was like one of the scariest fucking movies ever. And not much happens, and you don't see hardly anything.
Phantom says he hopes they never remake The Changeling, that it's just perfect the way it is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah.
Well, look what happened when they remade The Haunting. So,
yeah.
Although, I will note that since that was based on a novel, and, they made The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix, which isn't really based on the book. It's just loosely kind of based on the book. And that was excellent. But the 1999 one with Catherine Zeta-Jones and them, and Liam Neeson, that was fucking terrible. I went to the theater to see it for some reason. I was like, how bad can it be? I still hate it. It still makes me mad, like, thinking about it. Just because they took everything that was cool about that. And that's probably one of my favorite novels of all time, too. For the same reason, because it's very, very subtle. And it's, like, really creepy and, like, really insidious. And they got that aspect of the book, like, they got that exactly right. Like, in the 1963 movie. It's super, super creepy. And like I said, they show almost nothing. But the one that they made in 99 was just, they showed everything. There was just, like, big fucking CGI ghosts and just monsters, and it was ridiculous. And the house was moving around and shit, and I was just like, it was so dumb. And I was just like, if it had been like a standalone movie and it wasn't based on that, like if they just said, we're just going to make a generic haunted house movie, I don't think it would have bothered me as much. But because they tried to make it an adaptation of that, it pissed me off. Specifically because I was like, specifically why that was scary was because it didn't go over the top. It didn't, like, show you all of this stuff,
Yeah.
Let me see. Tom Baker said, Changeling, Hell House, from beginning to end, you're in a parallel world. Yeah, Legend of Hell House is another one of my favorite movies from the 70s. It goes a little bit crazy toward the end, but honestly, I love that movie. I've seen it so many times, and it's like I probably have it memorized. The book is great, too, by Richard Matheson. But I'm a sucker for haunted house movies from the 60s and 70s. There's just something about that era,
Another creepy one from that time. It wasn't a haunted house, but it was paranormal. It was The Other. That flick always weirded me out.
That's a creepy ass movie.
Especially when they found the baby in the jar.
Oh, that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. The first time I saw it, that movie came out in 72. Yeah. Well, the book is good too. The novel is by Thomas Tryon. But yeah, I remember that freaking me out. And speaking of Thomas Tryon, if you have never read his other novel, Harvest Home, which they actually made into a TV miniseries, which I reviewed, it wasn't that great. But the book is one of the creepiest things I've ever read. It's like folk horror.
Yeah.
But man, that really got under my skin, and a lot of things don't. But it was just like so fucking insidious, like the way it was like so creepy. Tom Baker said, I also love Don't Look Now. Yeah, that's another great one. That's a great fucking movie. We reviewed that a long time ago. That's another one of my favorite movies from the 70s. I think I probably picked that as one of my series that I'm doing over on Scare Salon, where I pick my 5 favorite movies from every year since I was born. I need to get back to doing that. Like, I started doing the next one, but I haven't got around to finishing yet. You know what I mean?
So is this about it on this?
I reckon so.
Okay.
Like I said, I know that there's like a lot of movies that people have been recommending that we do, and I still have like a big long list, but it's just, for some reason, because we were talking about Stephen King.
Yeah.
On Friday.
We hadn't seen.
We wanted to see one we hadn't seen, and it's just, I couldn't remember if we had done, there's some of the ones that I know that we haven't done, like, I'm pretty sure we haven't done Dolores Claiborne. And we probably should do that one of these days because I really like that. I've seen it a bunch of times, but I don't think we've ever reviewed it. And then we were going to do Riding the Bullet because that one was free like on Tubi and stuff. But then I couldn't remember if we'd done it before.
I don't think so.
Yeah, Tom didn't remember it. I've seen it, but it was a long time ago. And I remembered it being okay, but I think it was kind of one of the middling adaptations. This one... It's weird because there's so many Stephen King adaptations that I didn't know existed. Like, several years ago, I came across... This might have also been on Netflix, but I can't remember now. But I came across a movie called Mercy. And it had... who's the kid that played the kid on Walking Dead? Chandler Riggs? Yeah. It had Chandler Riggs in it. And it might have been pre-Walking Dead. I can't remember when the movie came out. But I just kind of picked it at random, and it was based on that Stephen King short story, Grandma, which I think was in Skeleton Crew, if I'm not mistaken. Might have been Night Shift, but I'm pretty sure it was Skeleton Crew.
Grandma. What was Grandma about?
It was the one about the kid, and he was, like, real close to his grandma, but then, like, they went to live with her, and she had dementia or something. And then, like, but she was acting, like, all crazy, and then maybe she was possessed or some
I don't
shit.
remember that one.
Yeah. I think it was in Skeleton Crew, but it might have been. I could be wrong about that. But, the movie was okay. Like, it was pretty good, but I was just like, I didn't even know it fucking existed. I think they made it in 2014 or something. So this was, like, another one that just kind of came out of nowhere. Like I said, I guess they put it up a couple Halloweens ago. Like, just as another Stephen King adaptation. But, yeah, this was pretty good. Like I said, don't expect a horror movie, but I mean the acting in it's really good, and it's kind of creepy in places. It's not scary or anything, but like I said, it's mostly a drama, so just kind of keep that in mind. But yeah, all right. So you seem like you're ready to. Kevin Smith said apt pupil. That's another one that we need to do. Like, I like that one too, and I remember that being a decent movie. But that was the one about the Nazi, right? The kid that.
I don't know.
Makes friends with his neighbor, and it turns out his neighbor was like a Nazi or something.
I don't remember.
Like back in the day.
Didn't see it.
Yeah, it was. That story was in different seasons. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, Phantom says it's almost like the Christine original owner is the main character in Riding the Bullet. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought there was like maybe some crossover there. Maybe we'll do that one day too. I just have, like I said, we didn't do it because I was like, I thought maybe we'd already done it. And then we found this one, and I was like, okay, well, for sure we haven't done this one. All right, so we're going to wrap it up for this evening. Thanks, everybody, for dropping by. For the Wednesday show, we're going to talk about good old Ted Gunderson.
Okay, yeah.
Conspiracy theorist, tinfoil hat wearer, lunatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's passed away many years ago. But yeah, we're going to talk about it. It's funny because... the Patreon poll, I thought nobody voted in it.
Yeah.
So I said, well, shit, I'm just going to pick, one of the true crime things that I had put up in there. But then Dermot messaged me and said, no, there's people have voted. And it's for some reason, like, Patreon was, like, being kind of glitchy for me. And, like, I couldn't see the votes, like, on my end.
Yeah.
And so then I kind of fixed it. And then I was like, oh, okay. So Ted Gunderson actually did end up winning. Okay. So I was like, okay, so that's what we're going to do.
All right,
then.
yeah.
But,
he was like the proto Alex Jones.
Yeah, kind of like it. Yeah.
Some people thought that that it's the same person. There was a rumor that fucking Alex Jones actually was Ted Gunderson or something like that.
They don't look anything alike.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought somebody said that they at a certain time they kind of looked alike, or they said certain things that were the same. I don't know. I have to go back and look at it.
Phantom asked if there was any nudity in this film. There is not.
No.
There is no nudity, and there is also not really any gore. There's a couple like dead bodies like shown and everything. It's not like super graphic or anything. Like I said, it's very, very low key. It's very, very subtle. Like I wouldn't even call it a horror movie. it's just kind of like a drama, but it has like horror elements to it.
Adam said Ted Gunderson's like Fox Mulder.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know much about him.
Yeah, he's an interesting character for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in the FBI for a long time, like for 27 years, so I think that gave him a little more cachet than a regular person would have. But it seems like after he started his own private investigation thing, he kind of went a little bit off the rails. I mean, there was not a conspiracy theory that motherfucker didn't believe in. Seriously, you could come up with anything and he would believe it. So he had his things like any conspiracy theory you can think of, he believed that shit.
Okay.
Like all of them, So yeah, we're gonna
interdimensional demons.
Probably.
Okay.
You know what I mean. Well, he jumped on the satanic panic train. That's what got him started. On the whole thing, and he started thinking that the entire world was run by this cabal of Satanists or whatever. So everything was kind of like informed by that. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where he got his start at. And
That'd be funny if that shit was real, though. Imagine if that shit was real.
I'm pretty sure it's not, but yeah.
Okay, shut it up.
All right, so we're gonna jump on off here.
Yeah.
So have a good rest of your evening, you guys. Have a good day tomorrow. We'll see you guys again for the main show on Wednesday night.